All right, guys, so here is the book, Because of Mr. Terapt, by Rob Baea. And real quick, before we get started, I want to read you the back just to kind of get you thinking about the storyline and what we're going to be talking about, what we're going to be reading about. So here we go. It's the start of 5th grade for 7 kids at Snow Hill School. There's Jessica, the new girl, smart and perceptive, who's having a hard time fitting in. Alexia, a bully, your friend one second, your enemy the next. Peter, the class prankster and the troublemaker. Luke, the brain. Danielle, who never stands up for herself and shy. Anna, whose home situation makes her an outcast. And Jeffrey, who hates school. But only Mr. Terapt, their new teacher, seems to know how to deal with them all. He makes the classroom a fun place, even if he doesn't let them get away with much. Until the snowy winter day when an accident changes everything and everyone. All right, here we go. So, starting with the first month of the school year, we have part 1, September. So just to get everybody kind of thinking too, each of these kids that I mentioned in the back, they are mentioned in each month of the school year. So we're going to start with September and go through Peter and Jessica and Alexia and Luke and Danielle and Anna and Jeffrey. So the story is told from each of their perspectives. Okay, so I want you to think about each kid and each personality that I read about them and apply that here. So anyways, just to kind of give you an idea about what to expect. So you've got the first month of the year, which is September, and our first student that we are going to read. His name is Peter. Here we go. It's our bad luck to have teachers in this world, but since we're stuck with them, the best we can do is hope to get a brand new one instead of a mean old fart. New teachers don't know the rules, so you can get away with things the old-timers would squash you for. Well, that was my theory. So I was feeling pretty excited to start 5th grade since I was getting a rookie teacher, a guy named Mr. Terapt. Right away, I put him to the test. If the bathroom pass is free, all you have to do is take it and go. This year, the bathrooms are right across the hall. It's always been an easy way to get out of doing work. I can be really sneaky like that. I take the pass all the time, and the teachers never notice. And like I said, Mr. Terapt was a rookie, so I knew he wasn't going to catch me. Once you're in the bathroom, it's mess around time. All the other teachers on our floor were women, so you didn't have to worry about them barging in on you. Grab the bars to the stalls and swing. Try to touch your feet to the ceiling. Swing hard. If someone's in the stall, it's really funny to swing and kick his door in, especially if he's a younger kid. If you scare him bad enough, he might pee on himself a little. That's funny. Or if your buddy's using the urinal, you can push him from behind and flush it at the same time. Then he might get a little wet. That's pretty funny too. Some kids like to plug the toilets with big wads of toilet paper, but I don't suggest you try doing that. You could get in a lot of trouble. My older brother told me once that his friend got caught and he had to scrub the toilets with a toothbrush. He said the principal made him brush his teeth with that toothbrush afterward too. Miss Williams is pretty tough, but I don't think she'd give out that kind of punishment. I don't want to find that out either. When I came back into the classroom after my 4th or 5th trip, Mr. Terapt looked at me and said, "Boy, Peter, I'm going to have to call you Mr. Peabody, or better yet, Peter the Peer. You do more peeing than a dog walking by a mile of fire hydrants." Everybody laughed. Oh, I was wrong. He had noticed. I sat down. Then Mr. Terapt came over and whispered in my ear, "My grandpa used to tell me to tie a knot in it." I didn't know what to do. My eyes got real big when he said that. I couldn't believe it. But that didn't matter. Mr. Terapt just went back to the front board and the math problem he was going over. I sat there with my big eyes. Soon a smile, too. "What'd he say?" Marty asked. Marty's desk was right next to mine. Nothing," I said. Ben and Wendy leaned across our desk to hear. They sat right across from us. Our 4 desks made up table number 3. Mr. Terrep called us by table sometimes. "Nothing," I said again. It would be my secret. How cool was Mr. Terrep? His reaction was better than being yelled at like the old farts would have done. Some kids in my class would have cried, but not me. And somehow I think Mr. Terrep knew I wouldn't. It was his way of letting me know that he knew what was going on without making a big, huge stink about it. I like that about Mr. Terrep. He sure could be funny, and I'm a funny guy. This year, for the first time in my life, I started thinking school could be fun. All right, I'm going to transition to the floor so I can get better lighting. Sorry, hold on just a second. Get my blanket over here. Okay. All right, Jessica, here we go. Act 1, Scene 1. The first day of school, I was nervous, somewhat. The sweaty palms and dry mouth syndrome struck. This wasn't surprising after all. I was coming to a brand new place. My mom and I had just moved all the way from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean, over here in Connecticut. So it was my first day in Snow Hill School. My mom came to help me get settled. We walked through the glass doors and beautiful entryway and stopped in the main office to ask for directions. A red-haired woman who proved to be exceptional at multitasking greeted us with a smile and a slight nod. She did this while the phone rested between her ear and her shoulder, allowing her hands to scribble notes from a conversation she was having in her free ear with the brown-haired lady standing next to her. We waited. My fingers dug into the hard cover of my book. "Hi, I'm Mrs. Williams, the principal." This was the brown-haired lady speaking. She looked serious, all decked out in her business suit. "Welcome to Snow Hill School. Can I help you with anything?" "We're looking for Mr. Terrep's room," Mom said. "I'm Julie Reitman, and this is my daughter, Jessica. We're new in town." "Ah, yes, it's a pleasure to meet you both. Let me show you the way." Mrs. Williams led us out of the office. I glanced at the secretary one more time. She'd be a great character in one of Dad's plays, I thought. My dad directs small plays in California, where I still wanted to be. "How are you today, Jessica?" Miss Williams asked. "Oh, fine," I said, although that wasn't really true. We followed Mrs. Williams across the lobby and upstairs in search of my new 5th grade classroom. The halls smelled stuffy but clean, like they'd just been disinfected. I wondered if the custodians had done that on purpose, to make a show of how clean their school was. I followed Mom down the blue speckled carpet and past the rows of red lockers where some kids were already unloading new supplies. I could feel all their eyes studying the new girl in town. After the stairs came the whispers. My face burned. Here you are, Miss Williams said. "This is your floor. There are 4 classrooms up here, all 5th grade, 2 on each side of the hall, with the bathrooms right in the middle." Miss Williams pointed as she spoke. "That's your classroom," she pointed again, "room 202. Well, have a good first day." "Thank you," Mom said. I just nodded. Act 1, Scene 2. We walked into the classroom. The teacher looked up from his desk and smiled at us. The butterflies in my stomach fluttered as if I were on a tilt-a-whirl. "Good morning, I'm Mr. Terrep," the teacher said. As Mom and I walked in, he came right over to greet us. "Good morning," Mom said back. "I'm Julie Reitman, and this is Jessica. I think she's a little nervous about being a new student." My tongue felt so swollen that I couldn't talk. I settled on returning Mr. Terrep's smile. It was a friendly one. "Well, this is my first day too, so I guess we'll all try to figure things out together," he said. My smile grew. "Your seat is right over there at table 2. You're with Natalie, Tommy, and Ryan. Being near the windows should give you some good reading light. That's a great book you have there, Jessica." I looked down at my book. A Wrinkle in Time. I rubbed my hand over the cover. "I really like happy endings," I said. Me too, Mr. Terup said. I'll do my best to give you a happy ending this year. I smiled again. I couldn't believe it. My teacher was new too, and he liked what I was reading. I don't know why, but somehow he made my butterflies disappear and my tongue shrink. Things were going to be okay. See if I can bend my pages back to make my pages stay. Okay. All right, Luke. I like school. I'm good at it. I get all A's. So when Mr. Terup announced our first math project, I was excited. Dollar words was crazy. Definitely not a worksheet problem like all the others I've ever been given. Not even close. We had to assume that the letter A was worth 1 cent, B 2 cents, C 3 cents, and so on, making the letter Z worth 26 cents. The challenge was to find words that equaled $1 when you added up their letter values. Not 99 cents or $1.01, but $1 exactly. Mr. Terup gave us time to get started. He wanted to make sure we understood the project, and he said he wondered who would be the first one to find a dollar word. I immediately made a data table of all the letters and their corresponding values, a quick reference for me. Then I started putting down any word that came to mind that had some of the bigger letters in it. Pretty equals 104, walnut equals 91, Mr. equals 84. Then I thought, hey, wait a minute. What if I just tack on the letter S? Misters, 103. Ugh, no good, but very close. I figured this could still be a worthwhile strategy for other words. So there I was, cranking out words, trying to find the first dollar word of the year when what do I hear? Peter and Alexia. This is the 4th year Peter's been in my class and my 3rd time with Alexia. Peter's funny, but sometimes he gets to be too much. If I'm concentrating on my work and he wants to joke around, it annoys me. But I like him. He's fun and he's no stranger to trouble. Alexia, on the other hand, is always involved in some girl war. That stuff I don't get. She loves to wear flashy clothes, dresses, skirts, fancy shoes, and she always has the accessories to go with them. And she says the word like way too much. Alexia isn't a stranger to trouble either. She and Peter are a good match. Peter elbowed Alexia, then I heard him whisper a word to her. That's not even close to $1, I thought. 53, Alexia said. No good, try. Or no good, try. Were they crazy? They were trying out rude words and giggling the whole time. I just knew they were going to get caught. Well, that's no good either, Peter said. Maybe. What a butthead, as soon as I thought. I knew it was a word worth calculating. Sure enough, butthead equaled 81. I tacked on the S. There wasn't just one butthead, but 2 buttheads. Dollar word. I was just about to call out that I had found one when Peter beat me to it. I've got a word, he yelled. Buttocks. He strutted to the board like he was the coolest thing since sliced bread and wrote it for the class. Buttocks, he said again. Buttocs. Peter went on to demonstrate how the word added up to $1. Mr. Terup did not interrupt. Just as I was about to, the new girl did. Buttocks is spelled with a K in it, Jessica said. Peter looked at Mr. Terup. Sorry, Peter, she's right. Better try again. And maybe you should choose a different type of word than the ones you've been coming up with. Peter slumped back to his seat. No surprise to me, Mr. Terup knew what Peter was up to the whole time. I raised my hand. Mr. Terup, I've got one. I walked up to the board and wrote butthead. That was followed by a chorus of laughs. Butthead, I said. Butthead adds up to 81 cents. But if we have more than one, then we get butt heads. And butt heads is a dollar word. Just ask Peter and Alexia. Mr. Terup snickered. That's enough, Luke. I must say this isn't a word I was expecting, but nonetheless, it's our first dollar word. Congratulations. Dollar Words was the best math project ever. We started it on a Wednesday, dollar word, and worked for 3 weeks. Through trial and error, a few strategies that I learned along the way and some helpful hints from Mr. Terrett, I broke the record for most dollar words. My final poster was covered with 54 of them. Mr. Terrett looked at my work and smiled. Luke, this is excellent. Dollar word. You are the dollar word champ. Alexia. Ooh, get this focus here. There we go. I was like, I had this new guy for a teacher. That's so cool. Mr. Terrett was nice. He let us sit in tables, not rows. I was like, no way, are you serious? And like the best was I got to sit with my friend Danielle. There was this new girl in our class, Jessica. She wasn't at our table, but I needed to talk to her. I needed to tell her that she could be who she could be friends with. She seemed like she could be pretty cool, even though she carried a book around like a teddy bear. I found her at recess. Outdoor recess is held behind the school. There's a big blacktop area with basketball hoops and hopscotch. There's playground equipment in another spot and a large field for running around and playing sports, like kickball or football. That's where the gazebo is, too. By the edge of the field, I found Jessica sitting alone on the steps of the gazebo. She was reading a book. I was like, what a loser, but I went up to her. Hey, I said. Hi, she said back. You're Jessica, right? Yes. I blew a bubble with my gum and sat down. I'm Alexia, I said. My friends call me Lexi. I found the compact mirror in my purse and checked my rock star purple lip gloss. Then I was like, where'd you come from? We moved from California, the new girl said. Oh, I used to live in California too. I started playing with the stones that lay under my feet. It's always been easier for me to lie when I don't have to look at the person's eyes. We moved here because, my dad got sick and needed the doctors here. Oh, I'm so sorry, Jessica said. She started playing with the stones now, too. Listen, I said, you're new here, so let me help you out a little. If you want, that is. I snapped my gum. Sure, okay. I stopped playing with the stones and scooted closer to her. You want a piece of gum? No, thanks, she said. Of course not, Little Miss Perfect. I put the gum back in my purse. That girl, I said, pointing to Danielle across the playground. You can't miss her. She's the fat one. I laughed, but Jessica didn't. That's Danielle. Watch out for her. She's like somebody you don't want to be friends with. But don't you sit with her in class? I thought you were friends. Oh, I wasn't expecting this. Usually girls just listen and follow along. I blew a bubble and snapped my gum again. Yeah, she used to be cool, but she's been saying stuff about you, calling you Miss Goody Two-Shoes and a snotty bookworm. Jessica seemed surprised. Oh, okay. Well, thanks for letting me know, she said. Don't worry. I put my arm around her. Stick with me and I'll help you out. It'll be great. Then recess ended. That's how I got the girl war started. That's going to be hard to say. Jeffrey. The kids in my class are all right. I have to deal with Alexia again, plus her feather boas and her leopard print clothes and her stupid purse. I wonder what kind of makeup she puts on this year. She's so dumb. She thinks she's a Hollywood star or something. Then there's Luke. I don't mind him. He's just smart and serious about school. And Danielle's in my class. She's fat. And then there's Peter, a wise guy, a total smart aleck. I wanted to tell Terrett that Peter spent all his time in the bathroom because he was messing around. But Terrett figured it out, even if he was new. He seems smart. I just don't want him trying to figure me out. I'm no good in school. School sucks. Danielle. School wasn't so great. My teacher seemed pretty nice, and he could be funny too, but none of that matters when you don't have friends. Lexi had done this stuff to me before. One day she's my friend, and the next day she's not. I don't even know why. I'm not mean to her. This year was the worst, though. Things started out fine. Then one day after recess, Lexi started ignoring me, pretending I wasn't there. She would talk about things right in front of me and leave me out of the conversation. Then she started telling her stupid fat jokes. It was horrible. I cried at home a lot. I'm a little heavy. Well, bigger, I guess. I don't like saying I'm fat. I don't know why I am. I watch what I eat, and I don't have any more than the other girls at lunch. Mom says I'll grow into my body. She's not fat, neither is my brother Charlie or grandma or grandpa or dad. Grandma says, you've got to have some meat on your bones, girl. Yeah, Grandma, I think, so someone like Lexi can tell me fat jokes about me. I don't say anything, though. Grandma doesn't get it. Only Mom understands. And I feel a little better when she reassures me that I'll thin out as I grow. She also tells me that there must be a reason I'm having to deal with this. It's making you a better person, she says, and someday this experience will help you. Well, that's all great, but I wish I could grow into my body now. We live on a farm. My mom grew up here. My grandma and grandpa lived in their own house next to ours. They help us run the farm, so my grandma's around a lot, and she wanted to know what was wrong with me and why I was crying. Anytime I mentioned Lexi, she'd get all mad. I'm gonna go into that school and fix that girl, she would say. No, Grandma. Why are you even still friends with her? She doesn't know how to treat people well, especially a friend. It's not her fault, Grandma. It's just this new girl's fault, I said, sticking up for Lexi the way I always do. A new girl that I can't stand. If you keep telling yourself that, it won't ever get better, Grandma said. She's a tough woman. The only time I've got friends is when I'm in Lexi's group. Nobody wants to be friends with a fat kid. I don't know what to do. Grandma said a prayer with me that night. We knelt by my bed. Dear God, please give Danielle the strength to stand up to these mean girls in school, or do what you can to teach Alexia a lesson. If you made her fat, that would be all right by me. I elbowed Grandma. Oh, okay, she said. I just ask that you provide Danielle with some comfort and direction during these rough times. We pray for the good weather to hold up and for the farm. Amen. Anna. I didn't say much in school, and I never raised my hand. That would have been an easy way for people to notice me, and I didn't want to be noticed. People can be real mean. That's something Mom warned me about, and my mom knows, trust me. I didn't have any close friends, and I wasn't looking for any. Mom was my best friend. Not getting noticed was never a problem for me before. I was always quiet, and I behaved, so the teachers left me alone. I kept my head down and looked at the floor a lot, but I'm a good observer. Miss Williams, our principal, winks whenever there's some big surprise coming. It's something I noticed a few years ago. If you keep quiet, you have time to look and listen and take things in. At the beginning of the school year, the first thing you pay attention to is the classroom. We had a nice room, a big one. There was a whole wall of windows opposite the door. Mr. Terup's desk was in the corner by those windows. The students' desks were arranged in 5 tables of 4, so right away I knew we had a teacher who was into teamwork and who probably didn't mind a little talking. Otherwise, we would have been in old-fashioned rows. The front of the room had the blackboard, and the back wall had a whiteboard. The last side of the room had all our cabinets and a sink, plus a drinking fountain. Most of the room was carpeted, except for the side by the sink and fountain. Our door was next to the fountain. The other thing, the bigger thing you pay attention to in the beginning is your teacher, especially if he is new, like Mr. Terup. Right away, I could tell that he was a reader because there were books everywhere in our room. Mom liked that when I told her. Mom's the library assistant in another school. It's a good job. She has the same schedule I do, and it allows her to take some classes at night. She's studying art, something she missed out on when she was younger. She's really good at drawing and painting. Mr. Terup was young and athletic looking. He didn't have any pictures around his desk, and he didn't wear a wedding ring. Miss Newberry from across the hall didn't have a wedding ring either. Neither did Mom. Mr. Terup turned out to be different. He noticed me on the first day. It didn't matter that I wasn't raising my hand, because he would say, Anna, get ready. I'm calling on you next. Or if we were talking about something and there wasn't just one opinion, he would say, Anna, what do you think? He wasn't going to let me hide all year. This made me real nervous, but it turned out to be a good thing in the end.